So let's say one day you're driving down the roads back late at night, it's dark and you can't see, and out of nowhere a deer jumps out, and luckily you don't hit it, but you do swerve and you hit a tree. Not as bad as hitting the deer, but you still hit a tree. Are you going to be able to afford it? And do you have enough money saved up for this situation? So today I want to be discussing the importance of saving money and the dangers of not doing so. I want to obviously discuss the importance and the dangers, and then at the end I want to provide a personal perspective onto what happened to me. And I think this is important because money is a very important asset. It's a very life or death situation. It's something you must have to survive. And I think that I've been through the good and bad. I've had points where I've saved enough. I've had points where I haven't had enough saved. I'm getting a lot better at that, so I am very credible for teaching you so. Now, first I want to discuss the importance of saving money. So obviously saving money is important because it's so you can put off for your future, plan for your future. But the most important thing is planning for emergencies, planning for the unexpected. So I did a lot of research, and one article I found was written on Experian.com by Karen Axelton. And she says, an emergency fund helps give you the resources to handle financial crises, large and small, from a fender bender or a car wreck to job loss. Now, that quote saying to me is that financial planning and saving is not just for one event. It's for a collection of events that may happen that we don't necessarily always plan on happening. So let's say that you get into a fender bender, but because you've saved enough money, you're not going to be too financially impacted because you have enough money saved where you can go and get it fixed. And the same thing with job loss, because job losses happen all of a sudden. They're usually not planned, they're very unexpected. So by having enough money saved, you can kind of give yourself a grace period to look for another job without having to worry about financial trouble. Now, the other part of saving is that it reduces financial stress. So another article was written by Renee Bennett on Bankrate.com, which is a very credible source. And it says, 52% of Americans say that money has a negative impact on their mental health. Now, why is that? It's because that everyone is scared of going into debt. And that is a very, very scary thing. Debt is something that can either break you down or break your business down. But 52% of Americans, that means a majority of Americans are in financial stress. But now that we have talked about the importance of saving money, I want to take a look on the other side and look at the dangers of not saving money. So obviously not saving money is pretty obvious. Not having enough money is never a good thing. However, the first and most important thing we must remember is that not saving money can lead to debt. And debt is a very slippery slope. It's very dangerous. It is something that can ruin your entire career, and I don't want to say, but ultimately it could lead to serious problems. But after reading an article on SoFi.com, Ashley Kilray says, in quote, while credit cards and loans are convenient ways to afford more than your bank account, you often pay more than what you actually owe. And that's because with these credit cards and loans, you do get into debt right then and there, but you end up paying more because of loans and interests. So instead of just buying with your savings account, when you go into debt by not having enough, you pay more in the long run. Now, another thing that Kilroy would go on to say in the article is that personal and financial life suffers because a lack of savings has cut options. So by not having enough saved up, you actually increase your financial stress because you're not prepared, meaning that you don't have money to go hang with friends or treat yourself, get yourself a new car that you've been wanting. You can't because you don't have enough saved up. And if something comes up, that must be prioritized first, such as a crash or maybe something small like your window broke. But because you don't have enough money saved up, then you can't fix it right away. So the next thing I want to do after giving you all this information is I want to share a little personal story about this. So when I was in high school, I was a junior in high school, I got into a small, very little fender bender. Now, I was fixing my radio and I accidentally bumped the person in front of me. And when we talked about it, I didn't see any damage. However, she pointed something out that I hadn't seen at the time, and it ended up costing me $2,500 right then and there. Now, because I've had money saved up for a long time, I was able to cover it right then and there without necessarily having to worry about going into debt or anything like that. So that just kind of shows the importance of saving money, is to always be prepared for those situations like that. But in conclusion, I wanted to summarize everything. The importance of saving money is that you can be prepared for the future, you can lower your stress, and you can have money for situations. However, the dangers of not doing so, you can go into debt, which is very bad. It's a very slippery slope, and you do not want to do that. And it can increase your financial stress. So I hope after hearing my speech today, you guys can take a look at your financial habits, and hopefully you can improve them if need be, and start saving more for the future, because we just don't know what can happen, and that you're prepared for future events. So I appreciate you guys for listening.